You ever hear about someone who got punished for just doing the right thing? This is the story of Cassie Brennan, a single mom doing her best to survive in a world that doesn't always make room for people like her. She worked at a mid-sized corporate firm in Chicago, the kind with glass elevators and mission statements plastered on the walls, but where compassion isn't listed anywhere in the employee handbook. And one morning, Cassie made a decision that would cost her everything, or so she thought. But let's rewind. It was a Monday morning, the kind where your stomach is already tight before you get out of bed. Cassie had barely slept the night before. Her babysitter canceled last minute, and her son's school was unexpectedly shut down due to a burst pipe. And as a working single mother in America, she had two choices: lose a day's pay and risk her job, or take her 7-year-old son, Tyler, to work and pray he could stay quiet through her meetings. So she packed him a snack, gave him her phone with games, and told him, "Just stay under the desk during the big meeting. It'll be over quick." But what Cassie didn't know was that the meeting wasn't just any meeting. It was a quarterly review with the visiting executive. Not just any executive, Robert Kingston, CEO of Hartwell & Finch, a man known for turning companies around with ruthless efficiency, not known for patience. Certainly not known for mercy. Halfway through the meeting, the silence was broken by something innocent. A juice box. Yep, a little juice box made just enough noise under the conference table to stop the whole room. "What the hell is a child doing in my meeting?" Kingston barked. Heads turned, jaws tightened, and Cassie, she stood up. Not just in the meeting, but as a mom. She apologized, explained, told the truth. Her sitter had canceled. She had no one else. She didn't want to miss the meeting. She thought she was being responsible. But Kingston didn't see a responsible employee. He saw a distraction. "Leave the building," he said coldly. Now, no conversation, no consideration, no grace. HR didn't even wait until the end of the day. Linda, Cassie's manager, personally escorted her out. And that might have been the end of her story. Another worker tossed aside. Another mom forced to choose between paycheck and parenting. But then something happened that no one expected. The very next morning, Robert Kingston showed up at Cassie's door. And this wasn't PR damage control. There were no cameras, no speeches. Just a man standing in front of a second-floor apartment with peeling paint and tired curtains, asking to come inside. Why? Because he'd gone home and rewatched the security footage. He saw the way Cassie had shielded her son, the way she tried to keep him quiet, the way she looked when she was told to leave. And he read her file. For years on the job, no write-ups, always early, trained new hires, picked up other people's shifts, quietly reliable. What he saw wasn't negligence. He saw sacrifice. He apologized, in person, and not just with words. He offered her job back, with a promotion, a flexible work schedule, a childcare stipend, and maybe the most important thing, respect. This wasn't just a feel-good moment. This was a reminder that sometimes one act of kindness from someone in power can ripple through an entire system. But that's not where Cassie's story ends. Because when she returned to work, not everyone was happy about it. Cassie Brennan walked back into the office like a ghost. Not because she was ashamed, but because everyone else looked at her like she shouldn't be there. Whispers in the break room, side eyes in the elevator. Even her desk had been cleared out, her nameplate tossed in a box. No welcome back, no card, no apologies. Well, except for one. Tarek, a junior analyst, left a note that said, "They don't deserve you, but I'm glad you're back." The thing was, the CEO hadn't just reinstated her. He gave her a promotion, operations liaison, a role designed specifically to implement employee-first policies at the ground level. That meant she now had a say in everything from remote work options to emergency childcare reimbursements. It was a groundbreaking shift, and it made a lot of people uncomfortable, especially her old manager, Linda. The same woman who had walked her out the door now had to attend Cassie's meetings. At one of those meetings, Linda even said out loud, "I just hope we're not lowering standards just because someone's a parent." Cassie didn't respond with anger. She responded with data. Absenteeism dropped. Productivity went up. And when Cassie launched a quiet survey asking parents how often they'd had to hide family issues at work, over 70% said frequently. But the story doesn't end there. 1 week into her new role, Cassie was walking with Tyler down to the basement break room, an old, rarely used space with vending machines that ate your change and a fridge with a mysterious smell. Tyler wandered over to a dusty cabinet and tugged it open. Inside, files, old paper files, marked HR grievances, 2015 to 2019. At first, Cassie thought it was a mistake, but then she flipped through them. Dozens of complaints, mostly from female employees. Harassment, unsafe conditions, pay discrepancies. Many with case closed, insufficient cause scribbled in red ink. Cassie took photos. Quietly. That night, she couldn't sleep. She wasn't trying to become a whistleblower. She just wanted to keep her job and raise her son. But now she was staring at something bigger, something systemic. So she did something brave. She requested a private meeting with Kingston. No assistants, no board members, just the CEO and the single mom fired a week earlier. She showed him the photos. She didn't accuse anyone. She didn't threaten. She just said, "I think people trusted the system, and I think the system didn't protect them." Kingston didn't speak for a long time. Then he said something surprising. "I used to think efficiency meant perfection, but maybe efficiency should mean accountability." He launched a quiet internal audit, brought in a third-party firm, hired a new VP of People and Culture, Cassie's recommendation. But just as the company was starting to evolve, something unexpected happened. A letter arrived, handwritten, no return address, just the words, "You weren't supposed to find those files." And then the second letter, this one addressed to Tyler. Inside, a drawing, a child's drawing of an office building, and a stick figure standing next to a fire. Cassie took it straight to HR and the police. That's when the story took another turn, because what they found in the security footage wasn't just creepy. It was personal. A familiar figure in the lobby after hours. One Cassie hadn't seen in years. Her ex. But it wasn't just about jealousy or control. He'd once worked at Hartwell and Finch, and one of those old HR files, it had his name on it. At first, it didn't seem possible. Cassie hadn't seen Mark, her ex and Tyler's estranged father, in nearly 4 years. He disappeared one night after another fight, and for Cassie, it was a relief. No more shouting, no more control, no more feeling like she had to explain her bruises as clumsiness. But now he was back. The security footage showed someone entering the Hartwell and Finch lobby late at night. Hoodie, gloves, unidentifiable. But the movement, the limp in his right leg, Cassie recognized it instantly. Mark had injured himself years ago jumping a fence during one of his manic episodes. But here's the twist. Mark hadn't been employed there since 2019. His badge had been deactivated. Or so they thought. So how did he get in? Enter Tyler. Yeah, the 7-year-old. While Cassie was in meetings, Tyler would hang out in the office library, a quirky space the company never used anymore, with shelves full of binders and archives no one had touched since remote servers took over. And one day, he found a shoebox stuffed behind the HVAC closet. Inside, employee badges, at least 50 of them, all supposed to be destroyed, all active. Among them, Mark Brennan. That was the breakthrough. Cassie turned it in. IT ran a check. Mark's badge had been used 4 times in the last 3 weeks. Once during a network outage, once during a fire drill, and once the night before Cassie found the grievance files in the basement. This wasn't random. Someone had been trying to keep those files buried. And Mark, he wasn't acting alone. Turns out, after his exit in 2019, he stayed in touch with a certain Linda, Cassie's former manager. The same one who'd escorted her out. The same one who scoffed at her return. Digging deeper, the audit team found email exchanges, references to controlling exposure, quiet exits, and payments made to avoid lawsuits. Cassie didn't want revenge. She just wanted truth. But now it was clear. Mark and Linda had been running an internal cover-up, burying employee complaints and protecting each other. Cassie went back to Kingston again. He was silent. Then he asked her one question. If I give you authority, what would you do with it? Cassie didn't blink. Build something where no woman has to be quiet to keep her paycheck. That afternoon, Linda was terminated for cause. Mark was arrested the next morning after police tracked his phone near the building again. And Cassie was offered a new title, Director of Employee Equity and Advocacy. She accepted on one condition, that her first act would be launching the Brennan Initiative, a company-funded grant for single parents working full-time. Childcare, emergency leave, mental health days, all covered. And Tyler? He got his own office badge, just a toy one, labeled Chief Joy Officer. Hung it next to his mom's new desk. Still makes everyone smile. But here's the part that gets me. A few months later, an anonymous envelope showed up at Cassie's desk. No return address. No threats this time. Just a sticky note that read, "Your son saved more people than you'll ever know." And attached to it, a list. 23 names. All former employees with buried HR claims. All ready to come forward because one mom wouldn't stay quiet. Cassie didn't expect recognition. She wasn't trying to become the face of anything. She just wanted to protect her son. But then something unexpected happened. At the annual Hartwell and Finch Town Hall, a corporate event usually filled with glossy charts, awkward speeches, and catered sandwiches, the CEO did something he'd never done before. He went off script. Kingston paused midway through a market forecast, looked out over the crowded auditorium, and said, "Before we talk profits, I want to talk about people. One of our employees, someone we failed, came back not to punish us, but to rebuild us. I want to introduce the heart of this company now, Cassie Brennan." The room went quiet. A few clapped. Then the rest followed. Cassie stepped onto the stage, stunned. She wasn't polished. She didn't have slides. But she had one thing with her, Tyler's drawing. The same one he'd made the night she cried on the couch. It showed a tall building, little figures with smiles, a rainbow overhead, and in the corner, stick figure Cassie, holding his hand. She held it up. "This is what my son thinks I do when I go to work. And I want every kid to believe that about their parent. Because work shouldn't be a place we fear. It should be a place where we're safe, seen, and supported." Someone in the crowd wiped away a tear. And then the applause came again, louder, real. That speech didn't just resonate in the room. It went viral. Someone posted the video on LinkedIn, then Twitter, then TikTok. The Brennan Standard began trending within days. Other companies began asking for guidance. HR teams downloaded Cassie's policy packet. Podcasts reached out. Advocacy groups cited her as a model for post-pandemic workplace reform. But that wasn't the best part. 2 weeks later, Cassie got an invitation. The National Employment Equity Board wanted to honor her with the Voice for Change Award. Tyler would present it. When they arrived at the gala, Tyler tugged on her sleeve. "Mom," they framed it. On a massive screen behind the podium, his drawing, the same one, was displayed for everyone to see. The stick figures, the rainbow, the hand in hand. The room gave them a standing ovation before she even said a word. And that night, as the cameras flashed, as strangers clapped, as Tyler stood proud beside her, Cassie whispered something only he could hear. "You didn't just draw hope. You helped build it." Today, the Brennan Initiative has helped over 6,000 single parents across the country. Cassie now sits on 3 national policy boards. And Tyler, still the unofficial Chief Joy Officer. Only now, his badge is real. And every new employee at Hartwell and Finch gets a copy of his drawing in their welcome folder. Because sometimes, the biggest change doesn't start with a memo or a meeting. It starts with a fired mom, a brave kid, and a crayon. If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe for more true stories that hit where it hurts and heal where it matters.